Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Good day, my fellow students, listeners at home. My name is Mr. Ibrahim Yunana, a teacher to teach woodwork. I'm here again with an interesting topic in woodwork titled Hand Tools. Hand tools. You would remember that in every workshop or in every industry where woodwork activities are carried out, construction of any kind will not be successful. You must use tools. You must use tools. And such, we want to take a look at what hand tools are. We have different types of hand tools. We have machine tools. We have hand tools. So we want to take the aspect of hand tools and then discuss about them. But before then, what is a hand tool? A hand tool is a device or an implement that is used to manipulate, it's a device or instrument manipulated by hand for construction in the workshop. I repeat it again. I said a hand tool is a device or an implement that is manipulated by hand to carry out construction of any kind in the workshop. A hand tool is not a machine tool, mind you. As such, it requires energy, human energy, to be able to effect the job that is to be done. As such, there are different classes of hand tools, my fellow students. In the workshop, hand tools are classified according to the work they perform. The different classes include: 1, holding and supporting tools. In holding and supporting tools, we have tools like bench, we have search cramp, we have G-CRAMPS, we have sewing trestle, and so on. The second one is measuring or geometrical tools. These are tools for carrying out or transferring measurements on surfaces. And so we have tools like tri-square, pencil, marking gauge, and whatnot. They're all measuring and geometrical tools. The next is abrading cutting tools, which we normally call saws. We have a number of saws like the rib saw, the panel saw, cross-cut saw. We have others that we call special purpose saw, like the cupping saw, like the fretch saw, like the compass saw. Then the next one, the third one, fourth one, shelving cutting tools. These shelving cutting tools are simply called planes because of the type of job they do. When you use them, they are used for planing on the surface of wood. And so what they remove from the surface of wood is in a shelf-like form. And so we call them shelving cutting tools. We have planes such as smooth plane, tri-planes, jack planes. We have rivet planes and whatnot. The next is paring tools, which are simply called chisels or gouges. We have example of them like the fireman chisel, bevel edge chisel. We have the gouges at the same time. Then the next is driving or percussion tools. This set of tools are tools called hammers, screwdrivers, and pincers. They are used for driving either nails or screwing or removing. We call them percussion, they remove. Then the seventh one is boring tools. These boring tools include drills and drill bits. We have brace drills, we have auger drilled, we have twist drill bits, and we have auger bit drills. Then the next, which is the last among those we are going to treat, is grinding and sharpening tools. Among them we have the grinding stone, we have the files, and whatnot. Okay, we'll pick these ones. Out of these classes, we will pick one, which will be our center of discussion today. And that we are picking is holding and supporting tools. Now, when we talk about holding and supporting tools, you know, there is no job that can be carried out on the in the workshop without you having one support or the other from a hand tool or from a device. And so I want us to follow me as we discuss about these holding and supporting tools. The first amount, which is the godfather of which is the main tool in the workshop, is the bench. We call it the bench, the workbench. The workbench is made of wood and used in conjunction with other devices to place and hold the workpiece in position while in operation. Listen, my students. The workbench is not just called a workbench. It's not for eating food. It's for carrying out wood operations. So whichever operation you want to carry out or work you want to carry out, you must lay that job on top of a table. The table must first, the work must be placed on the table, and then the table holds it, it supports it, while other operations are being carried out. And on the workbench, we have other devices, such as, we have other devices that are attached to it, such as the bench vise, the bench hook, the bench top, and the tool rack. Now, on the board, we have the drawing of the bench. I have the drawing on the bench. I want to use this bench to illustrate the other device, the other parts. Here, you have the bench on the top. You see the bench. The bench has a bench vise. If you look at the drawing, it is demonstrating a bench vise. The bench vise has jaws and a lever attached to it. The lever is is used to work. To open the vise. It has the jaws. Open the vise, and then you slot in the piece of job, and then you lock. It is used for opening and tightening the job on the surface that you want to work on. You can see it by the side of the table. Along the table, there is a groove. We call it a bench hole. That bench hole is used for placing tools that are in immediate use, so that you will not want to walk and then take yourself again to go, if you want to use this, so you go and bring it. No, the bench is a well. The well is a place where you place tools that are not in immediate use. Then we have the bench rack. The rack is just like a box beneath under by the end, by the left hand side of the bench. That tool rack is used for dropping tools that will be used while work goes along, but it's not it's not good for you to, you want to work, you go and pack tools, you come and drop them on the floor. No, you keep them on the bench, on the tool rack, so that you will not have to waste your time to go to the shop and carry the piece of job whenever you want to, the piece of the tool whenever you want to use it for work. So please, students, take note the importance of the bench rack, the tool rack, the vise. Okay, then we have the bench hook. The bench hook is placed, there are two. I told you the bench hook, there are two. There is an independent, and there is the one that is fixed in position. Now, by my right hand side, though this one is not shown, but my right hand side is always a bench hook that is laid horizontal. At this point, it's laid horizontal. It is intended to help you hook a piece of job when you are cutting, especially when you are sewing. You hook it with your hand and then sew as work progresses. And then the bench top, it's also on top of the table by the left hand side, that if you want to plane, you know, if you want to plane, planing involves what? It has a cutting knife that has to cut part of the wood. So if you want to cut, it tends to push the piece of wood, and if the bench top is not there, the piece of job falls at the other side. So the bench top is the one that stops the job while you do planing operation. Listen, my students, bench top, it stops the job while you are performing a planing operation. Okay, now let's project. Okay, I have made mention of the bench hook, bench vise, and the bench top. So let's continue. The next is, okay, I was trying to illustrate to you to tell you we have an independent bench hook. This is the bench hook that we have as an independent one. You can also attach it, because the reason why we call it an independent bench hook, so that it will not disturb you when you have a wider piece to place and plane on the table. So once you can see the surface there, this one serves as the bench hook. You can stop the work, hook the work while you do cutting operation. That is the essence of the bench hook, as you can see in the drawing. The next, okay, I have illustrated the bench hook, bench top. Now we have the shooting board. The shooting board is used in conjunction with the bench for shooting and squaring of ends of pieces of wood. It is an independent tool. Now, the drawing that you see, they illustrate the shooting box. The shooting box, you can see. It is constructed in such a way that you can always fix it and cramp, hold it on the vise. Shoot, cramp, and hold it on the vise while it holds, and then you hook the job as well while you perform the operation. But look at it. It has a groove, and it has a bench top at the other side. Whichever way you want to use it, it is a multi-purpose kind of a tool that you can use for either for it to serve as a stop or to serve as a hook. The next tool in the workshop, which is rarely used today, is the MITRE box. The MITRE box is a wooden box constructed with cuts made across it at angles of 45 degrees. Now, once we make mention of MITRE, a MITRE job is a job that is cut at an angle of 45 degrees. So the box is constructed in such a way that you can place, and with slots on it. The slots are cut at angle of 45 degrees. So it is not intended that when you are cutting the job, see the slots, they serve as a guide when you are cutting with the plane, when you are cutting with the saw. So once you place the job in the box. The saw all goes into the box, into the slot, and cuts the piece of job directly at 45 degrees. Students, note I said at 45 degrees. No any other angle of inclination is on it. That is why the slot is cut at 45 degrees, so that whichever piece you put there to cut, you cut it and you bring it out exactly at an angle of 45 degrees. That is the cut. Then the next one is mitre shooting box. You know, sometimes you don't get it accurately from the saw, but you need to shoot it to be able. You can see this mitre shooting box, the other side is graduated, it has a hook here, but the other side is a mitre. So you can use it to shoot the mitre joints in case you want to make a mitre joint, to shoot the end that you have mitered, cut in mitre using the mitre box. So that is the mitre shooting box, shooting and squaring the ends of mitre. We have the trestle table. The trestle table, the sewing trestle is made of beech wood with legs to provide balance and used for placing pieces of wood while sewing. Most especially when you are reaping. You can use it in conjunction with maybe a G-cramp or an F-clamp to hold the piece. But otherwise, in those days, people who use, supposing you have nobody to press it for you, you see somebody sitting on, putting a long piece of wood, you carry one leg, wrap the wood, and then you find him what? Sewing. This one is a trestle piece. It's an independent working table. Is the bench HOLDFAST. It is used for holding wood tight on the bench while sewing. A hole is created on the bench to allow the stem of the HOLDFAST to pass through to provide firm holding of the job on the table. Now you can see. Supposing we connect with that table, the bench that I talked about, at the center, you provide a hole. As you see this one represents the table. And then this is the stem of the bench HOLDFAST. And then this is the shoe that presses the job in position. Now, this one has to go through, the stem has to go through a hole being created on the table, so that when you are cramping, you can hold it to enable you to hold the piece very tight. Now see, a locking device. It has a locking device and a screw thread that you can use to wind and hold the job tight on the bench. The next one is the sash cramp. The sash cramp is a long bar, has a long bar with shoes. It is used for holding edge-jointed boards and framework under pressure while glue sets. Now, when I'm talking about while glue sets, when we talk about cramping, in every production, you produce components, parts of a job differently. And when you have finished producing the parts differently, you need to bring them together. We call it assembling. When you bring them together, the joints that you have produced, you try to fix the joints together and apply what? Glue. Now, if you apply the glue, you need to draw them together so that they hold tight and fix to each other. The only instrument that you use for that is the sash cramp. And so it is used mostly during assembling work to draw components or pieces of job together while they set. Okay? He said it is used for holding edge-jointed boards and framework under pressure while the glue sets. It is also used for variety of work such as cramping of doors, door frames, and car case work. Car case work, you mean in terms of making boxes and then drawers. You can hold them together while they set as you work. The sash cramp, the drawing is illustrated here. With me here, you have, this one is a lever fixed to a screw. It has the shoe, the tightening shoe, you see it. Then the other one, all of them are movable. The sash cramp has a long bar, and I told you the long bar is created with slots or holes. These holes are meant to enable you move the swivel shoe along to accommodate any size of job. You can open it as wide as possible to be able to take any size of job. as long as it is according to the size of the search cramp. Sometimes, if it is longer than the search cramp, we used to conjoin, we need to attach another search cramp, connect another search cramp on it so that we will be able to to hold the job at the same time. But like I told you, you need to take note. It has a shoe there, and it has a pin. The pin is meant to hook the shoe, the movable shoe, adjustable shoe in position. While this one, the screw that is attached with the lever, is screwed to hold the job tight and draw it fixed to position. We said the cramp is made of cast iron with parts such as, the parts is what I want to illustrate. I have tried to illustrate them there. Let me go through the parts. One, we have the loose shoe made from malleable iron, adjustable on a bar. It has drilled slots and a locking pin to be able to accommodate any size of job that you want. Then we have the bar. The bar with drilled holes along for placing and tightening of jobs at any length or distance. That is the essence of the bar. Like you saw in the drawing, the bar is created with holes, and those holes are meant to extend or tighten any job at any length or distance. Then it has the tightening shoe or shovel made of malleable iron. Then the mild steel shoe, screw for tightening and holding the parts of the job fixed to each other. The mild steel shoe is the one that when you put the job, you tighten it, it moves and brings and draws the job close to its components, to each other, and thereby holding it very firm in position. The last, not the least, among these, the type of holding and supporting tools is the G-cramp. As the name implies, it takes the shape of G, as you can see in the drawing. It carries the shape of what? Of G. As the name implies, the G-cramp comes in the shape of G, and it is used for holding and securing small jobs on the bench while sewing, and for cramping small jobs during assembling work. G-cramps are available in sizes from 50 millimeters to 304 millimeters. What do I mean by that? You see, between the jaw, this is a shoe. This shoe is flexible. So you can cramp and tilt it at any angle and cramp. This one is flexible. It can be suspended. It can hook at any angle, while this one is fixed. So the opening between the upper jaw and the lower jaw determines the distance, the size of the G-cramp. So they come in sizes of 50 millimeters to 304 millimeters. It also has the screwing toe. It has the screwing that when you hold the job, you screw to, when you put the job in the opening jaw, you screw to hold it tight as the need might arise. I want to advise, when you want to use this cramp on a bench, you use scrap pieces of pieces of wood. The reason that you have to use scrap pieces of wood is that so that you will not cause any injury or defect on the finished job. The scrap pieces that you use in conjunction with the G-cramp protect the piece of job that you are cramping from being injured. The cramp, I have mentioned that it consists of frame made of cast iron, shovel shoe which adjusts itself to any angle required, and a screw made from high quality steel for tightening the job. These are the major holding and supporting hand tools that we have in the workshop. My students, before I round up, before I finish, let me, by way of recapping or summarizing the lessons that we have learned. Remember, we talked about hand tools. Hand tools are classified into a number of groups. I mentioned up to about 7 groups. We have the holding and supporting tools. We have the measuring or geometrical tools. We have the braiding cutting tools, saws. We have the paring tools, chisels. We have the shaving tools, planes. So with this, you would always take your time, my students, to read. I want to emphasize here that you don't just read. These tools are meant for you to study them, be able to draw, because in examination you are expected to draw. If you draw, you can pass the full message to your examiner. But if you don't draw, you will not be able to convince your examiner what you are saying. As such, with this, we will continue next time. But before we go, I have an assignment for you. The assignment goes, 1A, define woodwork hand tools. Define woodwork hand tools. I would have said define woodwork hand tools in your own words. But whichever way, define woodwork hand tools. Be part of it. Outline the different classes of hand tools and give 2 examples from each group outlined above. Number 2, with the aid of neat sketches, draw and describe the following hand tools. 1. Independent bench hook. Let you not be confused by saying independent bench hook. Draw a bench hook. Why I want you to draw an independent? Because I don't want to draw the one that is attached to the bench, bench work. Just draw the independent. It will give us the information that we need. The next is draw a mitre shooting box. A mitre shooting box. The next is draw a search cramp. In drawing, make sure you draw and identify every part of the tool that you are drawing. Lastly, draw a sewing trestle. Draw a sewing trestle. My students, with this, I have come to the end of the lesson. If you do the assignment, you can send your answer through an SMS or my WhatsApp number. Through, my name remains Yunana Ibrahim. The number is 08028431113. I repeat the number. 08028431113. My students, stay home, stay safe, and keep learning till we meet in the next episode. Thank you.